heart is where the Hebrew home is. For where the heart is, that's where you find the Hebrew home. Hebrew home, Hebrew home. Good morning, Hebrew home.
Try not to look.
My home, my heart is where the Hebrew home is. For where the heart is, that's where you find the Hebrew home.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Wendy Wednesday at Good Morning Hebrew Home. It's so great to have you join us today. We have a jam-packed show for you. We've got a great guest today, Susan Chevlowe, who you may know from the Durfner Museum. So let's get right to it. We always start our show sharing something about ourselves, and today I had a very early morning. I got to work at 5 a.m. for a really important reason, which is to help out at the Employee COVID Testing Center. So as you probably know by now, we test all staff twice a week to make sure that everybody, even if you're asymptomatic, that you get a clean bill of health. So we're going to show you a photo of what the COVID testing center looks like because you have not seen it. So this was created in about 24 hours time, which is really incredible. And we have our nurses there, we have administrative folks there to check people in, and like I said, 1,200 staff get tested twice a week, which comes down to, if you like numbers and statistics like I do, about 500 swabs a day are done. So wanted to share that with you. If I'm a little bit fuzzy or punchy, it's because I've been up very early, so forgive me today. The weather is beautiful outside. I hope you look out your window, and I hope you get outside today. It's going to be about 77 and sunny, so please enjoy the weather. We have Operation Fresh Air, which is up and running, so hopefully you will enjoy it today. We still have our mailbox here with the red mail flag down. So we're all the hosts here are dying to get your viewer mail. So please call us. Call 2813. Just dial 2813 from your room. It's really easy. Or stop anybody in your tracks. You can stop your therapeutic activity staff person. You can stop a nurse. You can stop any staff member and tell them you have something to say, something to ask, something to comment upon for the show. We really want to hear from you. Our lunch today is meatloaf with mushroom gravy and peas, served with fresh mashed potatoes, and for dessert, grapes. For dinner, we're going to be serving minestrone soup with broiled tilapia cacciatore. Now, I don't know if it's the broiled tilapia or is it cacciatore linguine. I'm a little confused on what the style of linguine is going to be. Do they make cacciatore linguine? I don't know. But it's served with garlic, olive and oil, regardless. And for dessert, we've got pound cake. This day in history, the Golden Gate Bridge opened. Has anybody ever been to San Francisco? Oh, we have David Pomerantz here. We have Susan. Olivia has not. Allison? No. I have a long time ago. It's a beautiful bridge. So that opened this date in history. Let's see, what else happened today in history? Walt Disney's cartoon, 3 Little Pigs, was released. Now, I have never heard of that movie. Has anybody ever heard of that movie? Anybody here? Susan has, okay. It's an animated short film, which I did not know, but apparently is one of the best known cartoons of all time. And it actually won the Academy Award for Best Animated Short Film. There's another really silly holiday that's today that I thought was hysterical, which is Quirky Country Music Song Title Day. Now, can you believe that? There's an actual day for quirky country song titles. Now, how many of you are fans of country music? Anybody got fans? Tell us about it. We want to hear your favorite country song, your favorite country music artist. So I'm going to share with you some interesting, and this is true, country music titles, which I thought were a little quirky. Johnny Cash wrote a song and sung Dirty Old Egg Sucking Dog. Everybody's smiling here. What does that mean? Does anybody know? Olivia's actually even snorting at that. What does that mean? Does that mean that the dog eats the eggs? I don't understand that one. If anybody knows, please send us a 2813, call us. We want to know about that. Some other interesting song titles. Do you want fries with that? Okay, my answer would be yes to that song, but Tim McGraw sang that song. Tim McGraw also did Refried Dreams. Okay. The Zac Brown Band did Sick 'em on a Chicken. That's a good one. John Denver, you probably have heard of John Denver. You Done Stomped My Heart. Willie Nelson did Devil in a Sleeping Bag. Hank Williams did My Bucket's Got a Hole in It. George Jones sang If I Don't Love You, Grits Ain't Groceries. That's another one. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of them, but I thought that was so funny. Roger Miller sang a song called Blues Got the Flu. And Tammy Wynette sang Fuzzy Wuzzy Ego. And then Kitty Wells sang I Hope My Divorce Is Never Granted. Because she liked her husband. So those are some funny songs, don't you think? Let's see, I have a few more listed here. There's another one, Jimmy Buffett. He sang Pencil Thin Mustache. And he also sang another one, Peter Butter Conspiracy. Okay. And then I'll send the last one, I Don't Understand My Girlfriend. I guess a lot of people might say that too. Wacky Tobacco, Beer for My Horses. Okay, this is a PSA, don't serve your horses beer. That is not good. So I'll leave it at that, but there are plenty of quirky country songs to talk about. Today's celebrity birthdays include Mariah Carey. Do we have any fans of Mariah Carey? Any favorite songs? Anybody? Anyone here in the studio audience?
Always Be My Baby.
Always Be My Baby, that's a good one. Okay. And more importantly, we have several happy birthdays to share with Hebrew Home residents. Migdalia P. and Eleanor L. We wish you a happy and healthy birthday. And as our viewers know, I love checking my horoscope every day, and so we always check the birthday horoscope for our birthday folks here. And today's birthday horoscope is it's a good one. It says, make more of an effort to live in the moment this year. What does that mean? It means not wasting so much time and energy regretting what you did yesterday, and it means not daydreaming about what you intend to do tomorrow. Try doing it now instead. So I think that's pretty good advice. Live in the moment. So that's for you, our birthday folks. So that brings us to our special guest, Susan Chevlowe, who is our Chief Curator and Director of the Dörfner Judaica Museum and Art Collection in the Hebrew Home. So Susan,
Good
welcome.
morning.
So I have to start off by saying thank you so much for giving us this beautiful space to use each morning for our show. We really appreciate that. So thank you for opening up your doors to Good Morning Hebrew Home.
Thank you, Wendy, for everything you do and your team in the studio here.
So maybe we could start off, we have a lot to talk about, but why don't we start by talking just about what you do here at the home, which is so interesting, and also your background, like how you got into this and, that sort of thing. So take it away.
Okay, so I have been at the Hebrew Home about 13 years. I have a doctorate in art history, and I was a curator at the Jewish Museum in New York City before I came here. I had other stints in New York along the way in my career. I've also taught Jewish art and visual culture. So what I do here is I take care of our collection of 5,000 works of art, and these range in everything from contemporary art, prints, photographs, sculpture by names such as Marc Chagall and Pablo Picasso, and contemporary artists, as well as the Dörfner Judaica Museum. So we have both our 5,000 square foot Judaica Museum and then art throughout the entire Hebrew Home complex and on the grounds. We do programming for residents, we're open to the public, we do changing exhibitions. So it's a lot, yeah.
Did you always love art, like growing up?
Yeah, so my origin story on that is my mother took us, I have two sisters, and she took us to museums from the time we were very young. So I would say, you know, one moment that I remember is back when I was about 8 years old. She took us to the Brooklyn Museum to see a Van Gogh exhibition, and she loved Impressionist and post-Impressionist art, she still does. And, you know, from there I went on, actually in college I majored in English, writing, and having that background is actually a good background and skill for being an art historian. And I think there's a lot of relationship between analyzing language and literature and analyzing works of art, which is what art historians do, and putting them into their context.
There's so much that you have to remember and keep track of. I mean, that's incredible because you have to be super organized, I would think. And then also have some frame of reference about knowing all these different artists, you know, over time. So how do you manage that?
Well, you know, when we're studying it, it's really like being a historian. It's like thinking, you know, about the chronology, thinking about social and economic, you know, impact on what's going on with people and life and politics at the time, and that all is represented in the art. You know, the art represents a time period in which it's created. It can very much tell us a lot about how people lived at that time, and it's really looking at life and culture and society through the lens of art and of artists as interpreters of culture. So, for, you know, it's obviously very important for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So does one time period really resonate with you in terms of, with the art world?
Well, I do. I lean toward being a modernist, an early modernist, sort of looking at European art in, say, the World War I, post-World War I period. It was quite a revolutionary period coming out of World War I in many different European countries. There was a great sense of optimism, utopianism. And there were artists who expressed that often through purely abstract art, and it's something that kind of resonates for me.
Maybe you can share with our residents what's involved with putting together an exhibition, because I know that's got to be a labor of love for you.
Yeah, so there's different ways to approach an exhibition. It depends if you're working on something that's coming from your collection, or if you're doing something where you're going to be borrowing works of art. I mean, I can just talk about the last exhibition that we opened in the museum, which is available online now through the Hebrew Home website, which is called Impressions of Eastern Europe, and it's prints from the permanent collection. And the way we did that was, I think we started to see patterns in the collection. You really need to spend time and learn about, you know, what's right there by cataloging and researching the work that's right there in the collection, and just to see sort of relationships between the art. What's the different themes that the artists are addressing? How do different artists approach similar subjects differently or similarly, and sort of looking for those relationships, understanding artists' backgrounds and what brings them to certain subject matter, and sort of drawing that all together and saying, okay, there's a theme here, and if we put that all together, the works are going to speak to each other, and that's how we made this particular exhibition.
And it takes a long time to put together, right?
It can.
You plan things very far in advance,
It can.
right?
We can plan things for like a year or two in advance, and we can also do things more quickly. Yeah, it depends.
And another thing that's fascinating about Susan is your travel. I always love to hear where Susan is traveling to and her trips, because I never get out. I never travel, so I always love to hear about your travels. So Susan has shared with us some photos from some recent trips with us, and I thought it'd be fun for us to hear about your adventures.
Okay.
So we have behind you, so you can look, Susan, here in the screen.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
you'll see what's behind us,
Perfect.
and you can talk to our residents about it.
Okay, so, you know, for people who have kids, when you have kids I think for a very long time, you feel like you're very tied down, your life really revolves around your kids, and they get to a certain age and you kind of pick up maybe where you left off and get back to some of the things that you enjoy doing. And sometimes if you're lucky, you can take your kids along. If not, I travel alone. So I'd say like in the past, the few slides that I brought together here today are from 4 different trips over about the last 3 or 4 years. And so one of the things I love to do is travel and travel internationally. And so the photograph here, if you can see it, you see in the background. Do anyone know what that is?
Tell us.
That's Rembrandt's Night Watch in the Stedelijk Museum in the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam. So that's a very, very famous painting. And I talked about my mom and taking me to art museums when we were younger. She also took us traveling a lot. I mean, she schlepped along 3 little girls often and took us, even when we were young, to Paris, to Madrid, and the first place that we would go to when we arrived were museums. So that's very much ingrained in me. And she didn't want to waste any time. So if you've traveled abroad, usually when you're flying from the U.S. to Europe, you'll arrive somewhere. It can be very early in the morning. So I was taught from a very young age, don't go to the hotel and go to sleep. Get right on the time of the place that you're in and just go. So I actually had pretty much just gotten off the plane from the airport, dropped my bags in my hotel, and went to the Rijksmuseum to make my pilgrimage to see Rembrandt's The Night Watch and take my little selfie. So yeah. So these are a few pictures that I just have in Amsterdam from a few years ago. I'm standing in front of the Anne Frank House, obviously another important historical site, a place to go in Amsterdam. And yeah, the little emblem there says the Anne Frank Huis or house, Dutch. And then I literally, when you're traveling alone, you have to stop people on the street and say, can you take my picture? So a really classic canal scene in Amsterdam. And look at that sky. You know, if you know Dutch painting like that, like the skies are just beautiful. So this was in the fall, and yeah. So now shifting to another part of the world, I did a trip with my daughter Phoebe. We went to Morocco a few years ago, and that was just, it was a place I always wanted to go, and she wanted to go with me. And that's this, the main mosque. It's huge in Casablanca.
Oh my.
Yeah, and the next one. And then, so also the other thing that I really like to do, I like to go to Jewish heritage sites when I'm traveling, and this is the synagogue, the big synagogue in Casablanca. It's the only Arab country to actually have a Jewish museum. There's a Jewish museum in Casablanca, and they have, even though there are very, very few Jews left in Morocco, they've done a lot to preserve Jewish cemeteries, preserve Jewish sites. There is a Jewish community though here in Casablanca, and this is their synagogue. And the next one, woodworking, this North African woodworking, very typical of the Moroccan style. This was in a museum. One of the museums we went to. This is a really famous site in Fez. It's a tannery, and it's all the different colors that are used in dyeing different leathers in Fez.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and this is where Yves Saint Laurent lived in Marrakesh, and it's now open to the public. There's a museum, and it's called the Majorelle Gardens, and I mean the colors, that's just amazing. That's my daughter. Okay, and then this is in Meknes. This was further out of the city. We took a tour guide, and he brought us to this small synagogue in Meknes, and just beautiful. And then we took this crazy trip over the Atlas Mountains to Uzazarte, where there's also a World Heritage Site, these kind of adobe, it's like an adobe city. And there's actually a couple of movie studios out here. So part of Game of Thrones was filmed out here, and just lots of other, movies.
Where is this?
This is over the Atlas Mountains in Morocco.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was like this full day trip we took from early in the morning to late at night, and it's literally, those switchbacks on the mountains, just hours and hours traveling to see this World Heritage Site here. Now a very different trip. So a trip that I took alone I went mainly to Munich and to Salzburg, and my sister had been in Salzburg, and you can take the Sound of Music tour, you know, the famous
Yes.
movie with Julie Andrews. And so you get on a tour bus and you go to many different sites where the Sound of Music was actually filmed. So this was a site where I think the kids get dumped in the water.
Yeah.
In one of the scenes, so that's here, and then the next one, so, you know,
Yes.
remember this scene?
Edelweiss, right? Is that where he's saying Edelweiss? No.
16 going.
Oh, 16.
16.
Right. Yeah, oh.
Right. So the young
Yeah,
couple, so they were dancing around the gazebo,
Yes.
and here's the gazebo in a park. It's not, I've heard it was moved, it's not in the same location when they filmed the movie.
Okay.
They also had a Hollywood version of the gazebo, so there were two. And then another thing that, Wendy, you know that I love to do, I practice yoga, and I've gone on a couple of yoga retreats in Mexico, and these are all wonderful people that I met on my retreat, and this is near Tulum, and there I am
Yes.
over there. And I've got a couple more of these. I'm just going to end with these. We also went to Mayan ruins. This is in the Yucatan Peninsula. And then, okay, if you look like on the right-hand side, the purple
Yes, there you
with
are.
the curly hair,
Yes.
so that's me, and this is where I stayed and where we did yoga. And this I don't even know if this is the morning or the evening.
I was
We
gonna say
did
sunrise or sunset.
sunrise
Wow.
or sunset. We did, you know, it was just glorious. So I look forward to going back to that, and there we are. So lots of good memories, and just
Wow.
feeling very, very grateful and blessed that I've had those experiences.
Wow.
Yeah,
You have been to some wonderful places.
yeah.
So how many of our viewers have been to any of these locations? Has anybody been to Mexico, to Morocco? Wow, what an adventure you've had. Before you leave, two things.
Yes.
I always ask my guests 4 questions. 1, what is your favorite food?
Well, lately my favorite food is this eggplant parmesan that I've been making for myself. So it's an eggplant parmesan.
That sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
If a movie was being made about your life, what celebrity would you want to play you?
Sarah Jessica Parker.
Oh, okay, that's a great choice. Okay. Do you have a lucky number?
34.
Okay. And if you were not human, what animal would you be?
I mean, I love birds, so I would be an eagle soaring along the Hudson.
And before you go, we have a parting gift for you, which is all the hosts have a Good Morning Hebrew Home mug. And we thought since we're in the museum broadcasting, it's only fitting that you can be our honorary broadcaster, and you can have a mug too.
Oh, thank you so much.
So
Wendy.
thank you so
I really
much to
enjoyed it.
Susan. Thank you so much for being here. It was really great chatting with you. Okay, so before we wrap up, we are going to tell you about some programming notes. Bible study with Rabbi Noah is coming up at 11. We've got wellness with Deborah at 1:30. We have a concert with Larry at 2:30. And if you want to see us again, we rebroadcast the show every day at 6:30. So we're going to end our show on some positive news. And today we have some photos of some incredible athletes. And, you know, I was looking online, and there's quite a lot out there that says that no matter what age you're at, you can be an athlete. You can still do a lot of different sports, and in some ways, people's bodies are even stronger as they age, you know, than when they were younger. So I have a couple of photos of really some incredible athletes. This woman here, she's preparing for the world shot put record for her age group, which is between 80 and 84 years old. So that was taken at the British Masters Indoor Track and Field Championships. The next picture is a gentleman with the last name of Doms, and he was competing in Germany for the men's pole vault event. Then we have another woman, a woman here, and she's about to get a gold medal and set a new world record in the 100-meter dash. And her age group was also 80 to 84 years old. And that was taken in Turkey. And would you believe her time was 18.16 seconds. 18 seconds for a 100-meter dash. That's amazing. Okay, then we have a gentleman named Reuter, and he cleared a 3.31 meter, I guess he's jumping over those long jump events. Again, his age group was actually 85 to 89 years old. And that picture was also taken in Turkey. It was the long jump event. Look at that. And then we have this woman, and you know she turned 95, and she has gotten 42 gold medals in the age bracket of 90 to 94, and she set multiple world records. And she only took up masters athletics when she was 77. She traveled to Budapest for her 95th birthday, and she entered 9 events, including long and high and triple jumps. And she set world records in 7 of them, and she became the world champion in all 9. Isn't that amazing? And then we have look at this person's face. That was the javelin competition, and that was taken in Italy. This woman's name is Sheila. I think that's our last photo. So, wow, we had a really jam-packed show today. It's just about 11 o'clock. So thank you so much for joining us. We so appreciate you tuning in and for you spending some of your morning with us. So you have a great day. Enjoy the warm weather, and we will see you next time. Take care.
Thank you.